As we come down off the raw, adrenaline-snorting fun of the Steam Game Festival a few months ago, we don't even have time to put some drops in our bloodshot eyes as we slam face first into the Steam Next Fest. This cooler younger sibling of its conservative predecessor drops the clunky game part from its name and cuts the evil right off the end just so you know how in touch with the youth Gabe Newell is. Now you too can experience the modern TikTok-styled microdosing of games coming to Steam in the near future with the top 10 games I played from the Steam Next Fest. First up, we got Giant Uprising. This game looked like the coolest of all cucumbers as you take control of a giant and stomp your way through medieval buildings and plague-ridden armies with just your fists and some convenient spear and axe-shaped weapons that fall to the ground. It culminates in a visually impressive but mechanically defective fight against another giant for a demo experience that will hopefully lead to a much more polished end product. Dread Templar will crawl right up in your nostalgia zone and build a nest as it brings back that classic Quake experience but with the addition of an almost useful bullet time skill. Running around shooting nondescript demon monster creatures with recognizable weapons in a world of low-resolution textures is seemingly the only way we can get a decent single-player first-person shooter anymore. This world of boomer shooters may make you feel old, but I already felt old, so I guess this game works for me. 9 to 5 seems to want to take on Rainbow Six Siege by recreating Rainbow Six Siege, but instead of 2 teams of 5, you have the unbelievable quantum shift to 3 teams of 3. This tri-team trip into a tactical trial will test your ability to wait patiently in advantageous positions while peeking gingerly around corners for the smallest possible chance to secure victory. While I'm sure most people who want to play this type of game won't see anything new, the fact that it will be free to play will probably keep it alive, and full of hackers. Rogue Spirit harkens back to a game I played 21 years ago where a chubby little angel protagonist possesses your enemies to make them murder one another. Here you're a ghost in some kind of samurai world and you must use your powers of paranormal penetration to enter the bodies of those enemies and use their skills to kill their best friends. I seem to be extra bad at this game, but it's a roguelike so dying is part of the fun. But repeatedly dying does seem like a good design choice for a game where you're already dead. Radio Viscera takes a whack at the twin-stick shooter genre by taking the weapons that normally kill your enemies and making them not kill your enemies, or at least not directly. Your weapon only sends foes acrobatically flipping across the screen, rendering them temporarily unconscious. The only way to keep them from waking up and murdering you with their apparently unattainable weapon that can actually kill things is to vault them into one of the many conveniently placed and excessively brutal traps around the map. Assuming you can figure out these physics and appreciate blasting holes in walls as much as I do, this might be one to check out. Unpacking takes one of the least enjoyable processes of life and makes it into a video game so that you can relive it anytime that you want. However, unlike the reality of the moving process, this zen-like exploration will have your boxes easily accessible and simple to maintain as they disappear as soon as they're empty. Now I can finally live out my dream of organizing a small bookshelf or putting away all my bras and panties folded neatly in a drawer. However, if you put things in the wrong place, you'll have to figure out where they actually go before you can win in this high-stakes game of picking things up and putting them down. Okinawa Rush is a classic side-scrolling beat-em-up with an elaborate moveset that I at no point even came close to figuring out. My computer also didn't record the game, so this is the trailer, but just imagine it's me playing much better than I actually did. The reality is that I button mashed my way through the entire experience, and despite no real tangible grasp on what was happening, I enjoyed the action I witnessed on the screen. Maybe the full version will provide enough content for me to transition from a button mashing disaster to a kung fu master. Whatever the case, kicking generic ninjas 20 feet into the sky will always be one of my favorite pastimes. Deepest Chamber breaks the mold by giving you a deck-building roguelike RPG, but this time it's 3D. Somehow, even though a game of this type releases about every 5 minutes, I still run back to them like an amnesia-stricken lover. I don't really know what to say about this game except that it functions exactly like Slay the Spire but with 3D enemies. But Slay the Spire fans have such a low bar for quality that I think we'll all appreciate that for what it is. Lifeslide takes you on a journey through a colorful Willy Wonka world on the wings of a whimsical paper airplane as you battle the forces of gravity to keep your folded flying fantasy afloat. This game mixes beautiful visuals with gameplay that will make you say fuck more than you ever assumed you would at a paper airplane. Collecting blue and yellow crystals, boost and jump power-ups, and random keys to unlock new paths ends up rounding out the challenge of flying just enough to keep the whole thing magical. And if there's one thing everyone should know about me, it's that I like magical games about paper airplanes. Terra Nil will be the next Devolver sweetheart as it shakes up the city building genre by having you build the opposite of a city. Shape a barren, burnout, and probable future of Earth into a lush, diverse biome of trees, streams, and a whole collection of picturesque environments. You'll be using all these weird machines in the process that do things like moisten the ground, spray out delicious grass, and causing immense terror as you turn half the map into a rampaging inferno. Thankfully, explosive wildfires are part of nature, so I'll look forward to torching some more land when this game finally releases. Did I mention these are the same devs that made Genital Jousting? Nice. Well, that's the top 10 games I played of the Steam Next Fest in a somewhat arbitrary order because ranking indie games is like ranking your kids, incredibly easy. Regardless, there were games I tried out and didn't cover because I either hated them or they didn't work. However, it seems like Steam is in love with this format, so I'm sure whatever the next Steam Next Fest or Steam Breakfast or whatever delightful variation is on Gabe's mind won't be far away. Until then, why don't you check out my other reviews and maybe subscribe if you'd like a reasonable assortment of hot takes, warm satire, and tepid commentary.